What's going on, people? Welcome to United View. Good morning from HQ.
We're back.
We're back live in person. Another transfer view. A lot to do, a lot to get through. Feeling good this morning? Is the weather's hot this
I hate
today?
I don't like the hot weather. I'm not a hot weather person. I've said this before. I like the winter. I'm a winter guy. I prefer the winter months. I prefer being cold so that you can heat up, as opposed to being too hot that it's difficult to cool down.
You know what?
Thank you, Josh.
And Owen, Josh agrees. He says, yes, Owen. And this is the problem with us British people. We moan all year round that it's cold and that it's wet and it's rainy. And when the heat comes...
Look at me. Clearly, I'm allergic to sunlight. If there's too much light, I turn into a lens flare. I've said this before. So this
lens flare.
Yeah.
Someone said, where was it there? They said, I'm with Owen on this. I've missed the name. Sorry, apologies. The comments are flying in already. Someone says, I'm with Owen on that in terms of the weather situation and whatnot. And someone said, smash the like button immediately. Yeah, make sure you guys smash the like on the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. We've got plenty to talk about this morning. And we have to start at that man there, down there, Cody Gakpo.
Yes.
We've gone from Milinkovic-Savic, the Rabiot deal. We'll talk about those things as well. There's no more Arnautovic. That's done. Yes. But Gakpo. I mean, Mr. Mango in the comments says Gakpo looks rubbish. I heard he had a bad game last night. You know what happens when people go to watch one specific game because we're going to get a player. But Dutch Player of the Year.
It was quite intense last night. I don't know if you saw the score.
I didn't see it, no.
Yeah, PSV equalised in the last minute. Then eventually they won. They're playing Rangers to qualify for the Champions League.
That's a tasty tie, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rangers and PSV for the Champions League? When's that?
I don't know. That. But if Rangers qualify, it would be the first time that there are two Scottish sides in the Champions League group stage for 15 years.
That's insane, isn't it?
That is really insane. But yeah, speaking of Cody Gakpo, pronunciation. But I did see someone in the comments saying it's actually not a soft G, it's a hard G. So I don't know. But
so if it's hard, it's like
Gakpo. But I think from what I was, we talk Ajax guys. They can let us know. We have to put it in our Dutch group chat. But Cody Gakpo, yes, Manchester United, according to Sky Sports, are preparing a move for the PSV Eindhoven player. Manchester United, according to The Independent, are yet to hold talks with either Gakpo's representatives or PSV, but their interest in the player is known. Again, this was quite widely reported yesterday, it must be said. Fabrizio Romano has said that United will go for other strikers. Cody Gakpo is a player appreciated by Erik ten Hag. Very Romano line, isn't it? He's appreciated. Appreciated. They know the player. He likes the player. He's on the list. Gakpo is a player on the Manchester United list. I just said that.
You just.
But PSV.
Yeah, we know he's on the list. What else you got?
I've not yet received an official. I didn't even know Romano said that, and I just I called it. They're expecting that to step up if Manchester United want to get serious for Gakpo or not. And as he mentions, certainly Gakpo is attracted to the Premier League and has the same agency as Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag. Ten Hag knows him and has been an admirer of him for a long time.
Listen, mate, that sounds Frankie de Jong-ish, that does. You know, there's similar representations. You know, you got Lindelof, Malacia, and De Jong all got the same guy. Yeah, he's already come to Carrington to check it out when Malacia was moving. You'd think it would be easy to do, and it wasn't. But obviously, this is a complete different deal to the De Jong situation.
But just to quickly round off, the Telegraph is saying that PSV are unlikely to listen to offers for the player until they know whether they will make it through the Champions League qualifiers. As I mentioned, they are through. It's going to be them versus Rangers to get to the group stages. But Manchester United are planning to make an offer regardless. Gakpo is expected to cost around £35 million. Now, as you mentioned, haven't seen a ton of the player.
Yeah.
But is this kind of a case where it's a younger player, alternatives, we're moving on to different players, different strategy, we're not going after, it is funny because we had those people that we got, essentially, Eriksen, Malacia, Martinez, the De Jong situation is what it is, and then there was just kind of this sort of dead space for like 2 weeks where everyone was sort of saying, well, we know we need players, but what next? Who are we going for next? And clearly, we're starting to establish who is next in your Rabiots, your Gakpos, not Arnautovic, thankfully.
No, not
Milinkovic-Savic, etc. So are you positive that we are seeing an alternative here, that we are seeing different targets, or are you a little bit cautious because Eredivisie, once again.
I am, man. I'm not gonna lie. Like there is a part of me that's like, okay, that's the if we would have just got linked with Cody Gakpo at the start of the window as one of the hot tips to come to Manchester United, Eredivisie Player of the Year, he scored 21 goals in 47 games last season.
Yeah.
So he's off the back of a good season. If that was at the beginning before we were clearly going after other Dutch players / Eredivisie / Ten Hag players, I would be more excited by this one.
Yeah.
I think I do have a little bit of skepticism around it because of, again, the position that we're in and who we're trying to recruit. Now, that shouldn't, do the kid a disservice, from what I've seen of him, which is limited, but from when I've seen him play, and if you look at some of the clips of just what type of player he is, obviously that's just the best of. But, he's tall in stature, he is quick, he cuts in a lot of that left-hand side, has a decent right foot, but it's like that. Ziyech was doing that.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it's going to be amazing. And for me, I have reached a little bit of a cut-off point of this Eredivisie thing. I have. Like, I remember we were umming and ahhing it. It was actually right here, innit? And it was one show, and I went, I've just been thinking about something. I don't know. Is that good? I think I asked you, and we were we debated the pros and cons. And there is pros and cons. And I'm not saying that if Cody Gakpo comes to United, he's going to flop like Memphis did, or it's going to be, another player who comes from the Eredivisie that doesn't quite work. I'm not saying that, but I have reached my quota a little bit of like, is there not anything else? Okay, Serge Milinkovic-Savic, if we get him, is something else, but that's almost not something else because we've looked at that long time ago. Adrian Rabiot is like, it is something else, but it's a little bit underwhelming. Again, on the list a few years ago, maybe you would argue. Like, where's the there's got to be other things out there than just the Eredivisie all the time. Every time Eredivisie, it is a little bit concerning for me now. I'm not going to lie.
Does it worry you that primarily he's played on the left wing? Because you said it there, cuts in on the left-hand side. If there was ever a position that we kind of don't need, I know Faz was saying last night, every position's a priority, and I pushed back to that a little bit, saying that there certainly are positions that are more, have a higher prioritization than others, i.e. central midfield, a right winger in terms of a backup to Jadon Sancho. A left winger, you would go, well, we do have players there. Granted, they might not be the best players.
Yeah.
Granted, Rashford, very underwhelming last weekend, underwhelming all last season. And then if it's not him, Alanga, debatable. Garnacho, unknown quantity, unknown entity. I hope he gets game time this season.
Yeah.
But even that, could that be stifled if you bring in another left winger? Or is it a case of a bit like with Sancho where actually he's probably best off the left, but screw it, we're playing him on the right?
Who, Gakpo?
Yeah.
And it's a case of just getting in the quality and not having to rely on as much players from last year.
Yeah. Because
essentially that's our problem. Although we still haven't forgiven the players from last year, right? You see on the full view last night where we are, and people in the comments saying I'm not giving these players any patience, like I can't.
Yeah.
And then you see that first game, and Rashford's looked the same.
Yeah.
Sancho was still waiting for him to really announce himself.
Do something.
There's flashes. I literally forgot he was playing on Saturday. That was a real concern. On Sunday, sorry. So I think we were trying to get Anthony the whole time.
Yeah.
I think we should remember that this is an Anthony alternative.
Absolutely.
Even though Anthony was going to be bought to play on the right, you would imagine, because that's his position.
So again, that's my point of going, do they go, I know,
but maybe he will play from the right. Maybe he will as well.
That's the same with
he
Sancho.
Is a left winger.
That's the same with Sancho. He's a left winger, but put you on the right.
But Sancho also at Dortmund, he did play a lot on the right.
And also, I suppose, look,
we've
said this before about the wingers. Just because it's where they start in the game, they will go
100%.
A million times.
Yeah.
Rashford and Sancho, they swap sides every 10 minutes.
I'm not. We're so desperate in that end of the field, and we're so light that we need it all.
Yeah.
Like, we need another striker, 9.
Which Gakpo apparently can be.
Exactly. Apparently can play across the front.
Yeah.
We need another right winger, 1,000,000%, which is what the Anthony thing was really for. And yeah, you know what? Garnacho was young. He never ever kicked a ball in the Prem before. Like, we want to, it's almost unfair to him coming into this mess and say, you're just going to be the understudy to Rashford. Now, don't get me wrong. It would buy Eric... If Garnacho started just playing from the off now instead of Rashford, kind of like how Elanga did.
Yeah.
The patience was much more with Elanga last year. The pressure was less because Rashford was really poor last season, and we were just happy to see a youngster from the academy get given the chance. So I get that, but there's still levels. Do you know what I mean? And if we get a Cody Gakpo, I'm definitely not going to turn my nose up. Yes, I'm saying about the Eredivisie thing, but if he arrives, it's still much needed depth in that area of the field, that top end of the pitch.
Yeah, and also, I want to be careful how I say this because I know the reaction it will get of like, you can't be protecting players, you can't be
Who are you protecting?
Coddling players or anything like that. But if Eric Ten Hag just went to that left-hand side and said, right, I'm going to start Garnacho, who, as you mentioned, has barely started any Premier League games, and he drops an established player like Marcus Rashford.
Yeah.
What message does that send to Rashford's confidence of a player that's fragile anyway? Well, like that could break the guy.
It could break the guy. Well, he's already broke.
Exactly.
Rashford's already broke.
And again, I know the reaction will be, who cares? It's about winning games, and it is. And Rashford should get over it, and Rashford should be focusing on himself or whatever. But from a management point of view, it's about managing personalities and characters and trying to get the best out of them. And if you know a player's fragile, if you drop him for a player, as you mentioned, that just has barely any Premier League minutes, you've got to be wary of the damage it could do.
You do, yeah. And I'm not... Rashford comes from our academy, he's one of us, right? I get that. But you've seen All or Nothing, innit? The Arsenal one. Have you seen...
I've seen parts of it.
Okay, so...
I don't care to watch anything about Arsenal.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I've watched all 3 episodes, yeah?
Right.
And the last episode is quite interesting because it's about Nuno Tavares, a lot of it.
Right.
Or parts of it. And basically that he starts off really well. Remember the season he had? Mm-hmm. Then he just goes shit. They're talking about him in the canteen saying Nuno's like, he's not really integrating that much. Like, let's try and put someone on it. Hear me out here because I know they're completely different entities. But cut a long story short, they did all that with him. Then you look at how the season ended with, he was bringing him on, taking him off, didn't care. Now kid's on loan.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes there comes a point where you just got to put the team first. So I think Eric Ten Hag, so what my point is that Eric Ten Hag, at the beginning with Rashford, it's his spot. Yeah. He's going to play him first 5 games. He's going to keep starting him.
That's kind of my point.
Not now straight away.
Garnacho starts, Rashford on the bench. You'd be like, that is a message.
Yeah, it's a big message. But at the same time, this is I know what you're saying. I agree what you're saying with the player perspective. But from a manager perspective, and Ten Hag, again, it always resonates with me. It was such a great quote because I loved it. I can look any player in the eye and back my decision 100%. Tell them why I'm not playing. Donny van der Beek on tour saying, if you don't play good for this manager, you won't play. Already, you could say I'm looking into it too much. I believe we've seen a little bit of it already in terms of Ronaldo didn't play against Brighton.
Yeah.
It would have been so easy, and everyone would have agreed, and no one, I don't think, would have criticised him for starting Ronaldo because, you know what, I know you said this in the pressers and stuff, but we're desperate. He went, no. Like, I'd rather lose badly, which we did. Obviously, didn't want to lose, but I'd rather struggle without you, because it will be a struggle, and play Eriksen as a false 9 or Bruno as a false 9 than compromise on my principles that I've set out. So if he stays true to his principles, Eric Ten Hag, Marcus Rashford won't have that long playing like that.
No. And with the Ronaldo situation, you could also think he probably took it from a logical point of view of, well, I'd rather have him for the next 3 or 4 games as opposed to risk him for this game
100%.
By burning him out or possibly him pulling a hamstring because he's not
burning
ready.
3 players.
Or anything. Burning 3 players, mate. You wouldn't want to do that. The Rashford thing as well, just to clarify, it's not necessarily the decision I would take. I just think that...
if he did do that,
I just think it would be something that he would possibly consider as to, well, I've got to be a bit careful. This is a guy that in the press conferences, that We Talk Ajax guy said it, he will back his players publicly to the hilt.
Yes.
And as I mentioned, I don't think... It's not in his best interest to sort of make sort of factions already by going, oh, Rashford, you're terrible, Garnacho's going to start. Again, the message that would send could be somewhat catastrophic to the player already. We talked about being somewhat patient yesterday on the full view and not panicking too much, whilst the club clearly does when it comes to transfer signings. When it comes to the playing style of the manager, there does have to be an element of patience, and maybe he is also going to be patient with the players, even though that's not what we want to hear.
Yeah, he'll be patient to some extent.
To an extent. Like, if it's like 5 games in and Rashford's still rubbish, then you go, wow.
He'll be patient to some extent because he has to. Because That's the players he's got.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the players he's got. So, but at the same time, it also sends an important message to Rashford. If Cody Gakpo does walk through the door, that's a highly tipped.
And that's when you go, okay, a new signing's different to a player that's barely played in the Premier League. That's when if he plays Gakpo over Rashford, you go, wow, that's less of a message to Rashford. That's more just like, well, new signing, mate. Yeah. Fight for your place.
Yeah, and back to Gakpo. I mean, they're saying 35 million valuation. I think if they beat Rangers and get into the Champions League, you get one of two scenarios, don't you? You get one where they say he's just not for sale because we're trying to keep the squad together, etc., etc. But then if the player is trying to move or he doesn't want to turn down a dream move, as they call it, you then get, okay, well, that 35 is now 50.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's why people were watching the game last night, ultimately. Yeah. And I did think that because I saw it all on Twitter, people doing the update, PSV have scored, Monaco
what
have
has
scored.
the world come to where we care about that? Unbelievable.
I was like, just imagine that situation.
How we've fallen, though.
Yeah, that we're looking on PSV Eindhoven's Champions League qualifier going, we hope they lose so we can get the player. That is wild. That is absolutely wild. And they're not wrong for it because we are dependent on that result. Because if they do qualify for the Champions League, whilst he still might want to join Manchester United because it's Manchester United, it is a step up from PSG, he would be going from Champions League football. Granted, the group stage, are they going to get through? Unknown. But he's going from Champions League football to Europa League football. We don't know what are we offering then. Money, I guess, a big club, a good manager. But in terms of European football, the hope could be next season Champions League. But that's a stretch. That's a stretch. So again, it's wild that we're looking at Champions League qualifiers in a hope that we can sign the player. I mean, I saw something about we were happy that Monaco lost, though, because Rabiot might have been offered to Monaco.
Both, that's what I'm saying. Like, someone who Juventus actually want to get rid of and we've actually agreed a fee for, we're still not quite sure. So let's just make sure Monaco don't go through. So that's good. And then you're looking at it from the other side now. So that's one down, one to go. Yeah. Let's hope they both don't make the... Yeah, let's hope Rangers do us a favour. And it's like... we can laugh, but actually it's the reality of where we are, and it's not funny. It's embarrassing, really. We are the laughing stock. Yeah, but what we are.
Losing to Brighton at home 2-1 on the opening day of the season is embarrassing. I know, like Cam said last night, that Brighton were a very good side and they're a well-coached side, and maybe it's football snobbery on my part, but sorry, I feel like we should be beating Brighton at Old Trafford. Not that we have any divine right to.
No, but the record said we always have done.
But my point being is that
that's
not good.
No, of course,
shouldn't be happening for any other classified top 6 side at home. Go to the Amex, anything can happen, and Brighton are a good side, but still, it's like that's not.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a hard one, isn't it? Because it's like on their day, Brighton can beat anyone.
Yeah,
they can.
And anyone in the Premier League.
They went Liverpool, got a draw last year, didn't even lose there. They beat Man City, I think, or drew against Man City.
But that was meant to be a stronger Brighton last season.
Yeah, and they got weaker and absolutely laid us off the park. But yeah, to finish off on the Cody Gakpo situation, we need players.
Yeah.
Again. It's that line, isn't it? Someone Ten Hag knows very well. Someone is from the league. Someone he's familiar with. So, in this point, when a player arrives, if they arrive, you then shut off this type of thing. So this is the time to talk about it. I just have a few reservations over, when does that end?
Yeah, I think after the summer we've had, I think you're allowed to have reservations about a lot of players that we're getting linked to at this point because you worry about how much knowledge do we have, how much scouting have we done on them. But after Arnautovic, I'm happy with other players. That was the low point for me. After now that's not happening,
it's still so disgusting that
we're going to talk about that a bit.
Yeah, we are, but it's just absolutely disgusting. Now, smash a like on the video, peeps. Subscribe to the channel if you lot are new. Let's go through some of you lot super chats. We've got David G. Thanks for the contribution. It says off topic. But have you realised Dalot is actually very slow? His acceleration is non-existent. He struggles to track back when the other team counters. There are quite a few. I wouldn't say he's very, very slow, but I think positionally sometimes, especially with the new way we're trying to play, he can get caught up the pitch quite a lot. And there's a couple of times where the ball will go over his head and he's chasing an attacker. And I think some of that is positional because of where he is versus where he needs to be. And some of it is, I wouldn't say he's lightning quick. He can move.
Dalot's a curious one, isn't he? Because he's the best right back we have at Manchester United, but he's probably the 6th or 7th best right back in the league.
Maybe not. Yeah, could maybe
name the other top 6 clubs. They're right backs.
Yeah, I mean Tomiyasu, James, Trent, Walker. Spurs got I don't know, Emerson Royal maybe.
They got Spence as well.
Got Spence now, so the jury's out there. If you're looking at like other right backs, like
even someone like Lamptey's better than him.
Yeah, I think you might be pushing at 6. It could be 10.
And that's the point. Like again, he's the best at United, but there are better people around there, and that's when it goes back to the point of every position could be improved on a Manchester United. Yeah, exactly.
Kieran Trippier,
Cancelo,
he can play there. Like there's a few. Semedo,
and that's ultimately why, isn't it? That's when you look at those like the fullback positions and go, okay, he's better than Wan-Bissaka, but in terms of the overall Premier League, nowhere near realistically. And it's not to say he's a bad player.
Kufal, maybe. Yeah. Who's that? Is it Ryan Fredericks went somewhere? Did he go Bournemouth? I can't remember. He's not good, but I'm just saying. But Ben Godfrey sometimes plays right back.
That's the point. And then that's when you almost have to almost... Look, he's a Portuguese international and he plays for the Portuguese national team, but you also, again, have to manage your expectations of if you've got a player like that level of quality, not to say he's bad, but in comparison to others, what do you expect?
No, it's true. It's true. It's a weird one. Like you said, the curious case of Dalot. It's like we're still we saw glimpses on tour, done really well. Looked fresh, looked sharp, looked good with Sancho. But it was pre-season. We almost already have to leave it.
I'm tired of the pre-season.
Yeah, because we need to see it. We need to see it now. Suma says, sell Scott to Celtic, Rangers for 35 to 40 million. Eric to Spain for 25 to 30. Wan-Bissaka to Palace for 25 to 30. And buy Dejan, Rabiot, Dumfries, Sarr and Nkunku, who's just signed a new deal, who's not going anywhere. Yeah. Since they have Werner now. El Cap says, Rashford... has had enough chances. He needs to go. SK says Oli would have bent the knee. I back Eric Ten Hag. The board need to back him. We need less player FC. Sorry, a few typos there. Game Fanatic says no link, but would you take Monaco's 31-year-old Ben Yedder? Ben Yedder again. I remember there was a little period where he was a bit of the it man, but that's so
2018. It's going through that Rolodex. Yeah. What are those? Are they Rolodexes? When you go, where are my numbers? And then they flick them around. They go like that. Yeah. And you go, okay, there's Ben Yedder.
Exactly.
There's Rabiot. There's Milinkovic-Savic. There's Ismail Lassar.
Just roll them out of the people that you wasn't.
They got their 2018 Rolodex back out.
Yeah.
And not to say that all of them would be bad signings, but it's just like you can't say that's not sort of panic backwards. Or no, it's not. Let's go back. We've already done this legwork ages ago. Yeah, it'll work this time.
Lil Yo-Yo says, would you rather play in the Champions League group stage or go far in the Europa League?
I think isn't it? Well, it depends how you want to look at it, isn't it? Financially, it's more profitable to play in the Champions League. Obviously, you want to win something, so you would say go far in the Europa League. But also, you would say if you're in the Champions League, you attract more players. If you're just in the group stages, the summer we're having right now would be easier if we were in the Champions League. 100%. The De Jong situation, I don't know how obviously how it's going to play out, but it might be slightly less complex if we were in the Champions League, possibly. Yeah. Right? Would we be going for previously Arnautovic or even the discussion of Rabiot of Champions League football? It wouldn't be a discussion. We'd get them. So I would probably say Champions League, just because I always think isn't it best to be in the best competitions? Yeah,
you want to be in the best, even though you could say, what's the point in you getting in it? You're never going to win it. Like, well, you're in it to win it. Yeah. It's like saying, would you rather be in the Premier League or the Championship?
Well, and also the Cristiano Ronaldo wouldn't be a discussion.
Exactly. Big up Manzir, good friend of mine. Big up Manzir. Says until we replace Maguire, McTominay and Fred, Dalot, Shaw, plus get a striker, we are in for another season of mediocrity. TV plus food coma combination for me, lads. Yeah, Manzir, it's looking bleak, mate. It's looking bleak. CJK Digital says, do you think Rashi will find his form this season? How long's a piece of string? I have no idea.
No idea.
I have no idea. But I do think this is such a pivotal moment in his career, because last year he was way off it. You think how far away he is from the England team. Like, I know he's, even for us, it's like that plane that leaves, to Qatar in November. Him and Jadon Sancho are a million miles off getting there. Sancho, you could say possibly. Like maybe a bit, but even let's just keep it real.
Yeah.
Saka, Grealish, Sterling, these types of players who play from Mount, million miles over these guys.
Yeah,
million. Then if Smith Rowe does well in a good Arsenal team and keeps playing,
you could say he's even already ahead of Rashford.
If Hudson-Odoi gets a move. And I know he's way down now, but say he got a move at Dortmund, because he might go there and plays out of his skin. Sancho and Rashford are still just twiddling their thumbs. Again, even he moves over.
Even the players you've just mentioned, that's like 5 or 6.
That's what I'm saying.
That's done already.
Done already.
Yeah.
Nowhere near it. And it's like, you get a question like that from CJK, and it's like, I don't know.
And also, in retrospect, out of that front three that played the majority of the preseason, Martial, Sancho, Rashford, I would still say he was the one out of those three that still was like, he could do better.
He still didn't, like Rashford, Sancho and Martial were like okay, if we get that version, we're good.
Which, who knows?
Yeah.
But the Rashford thing, even in pre-season, it was like, I can't remember who it was against, but he missed some proper chances, and you still go, like even the Brighton, like he didn't play well against Brighton, but he still should have scored. And it's a good save from the keeper, but it's right at him.
When I watched that first one back, the Ronaldo one, I can't believe he hasn't scored.
Yeah.
Like the left foot one on the stretch, like it's a difficult chance.
But that one-on-one.
The one-on-one.
Because the reason it's a good, obviously, great save from the keeper, but the reason the keeper has saved that is because he just come out, spread himself, and it's just in that situation of, I hope the ball hits me.
Yeah.
It's not like if Rashford hits any corner or any semblance to the corner, it's in.
Yeah.
And he missed. And that's, you could say confidence, but then it comes to a point with confidence or certain players where, I'm not saying Rashford's like Dele Alli, but then you start going, actually, are they ever going to get it back?
Can you get exactly that?
Are they ever going to get it back?
Can you resurrect your career? That's the thing. That's why I'm worried, because that's why I think this is so pivotal. Because if he has 2 straight years, and look, it's one game, and it's one game.
Yeah,
he could have a really good game against.
But last season it was a lot of games.
It was the whole. It was all the whole season. Yeah. It was the whole season. And if that becomes 2 years at the fall from grace that he was, panic. Worry signs there. The game says Sancho, 5 goals, 3 assists in all competitions last season, 37 appearances. He has to be under pressure this season. Big up though. Love seeing you lot in the mud. Says the game. Probably an Arsenal fan just feels like it. Yeah. Just feels like it.
Well, look, they've taken it for a long time.
100%.
I think they were well within their rights to give it back.
100%. And we just got to
take it as well.
Yeah. Game Fanatic says, would Rabiot be the first signing with no link to Ten Hag? Yes. Out of the 3, yes.
Technically, Malacia, you could argue he played in the same league, but was he ever coached by Eric Ten Hag?
No, but
it was just a video of like he knew him.
Yeah, and he's a player that that he wanted.
Yeah. But by all accounts, Ten Hag does want Rabiot. Romano and etc. all to be believed.
Ornstein,
he's signed off on the move and said to the club, go and do the deal, which by all accounts he has for every signing or every approach. He said, yep, do that deal, or yes, go for that guy. The only reason we were even in for Marco Arnautovic in the first place, and I hate keep bringing it back to him, but that was because Ten Hag knew him and wanted him. You can't argue with that one. So I think, you're right in terms of...
Which was still a disgrace, by the way.
Yeah. Sorry. Exactly.
Sorry, I love Ten Hag. I'm backing him, but I'm still going to say that.
Well, we'll get into that in a second. But in terms of no link, I guess it would be the first one.
Yeah. Smash a like on the video, peeps. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And remember, you can join the UV Members Club as well. What we got next?
Milinkovic-Savic. Yes. Your favourite topic, your favourite player. Every time we mention Milinkovic-Savic, I can see you getting shudders for the amount of times you've spoken about him in the past.
Yeah, just get it done if you're going to get it done, Man United, innit? If you're going to do it, do it. If you're not, just don't.
But it would appear,
fed up.
Despite previous, when we spoke about it before, we'll wait and see, we've heard it all before, it would appear that this time the interest is legitimate, because Samuel Lucas of the Manchester Evening News is saying that Manchester United are considering a £57.5 million bid for Lazio midfielder Serge Milinkovic-Savic. It continues here saying from the Telegraph, and to be fair, Jason Burt from the Telegraph was one of the first people to really bring up this Milinkovic-Savic stuff, saying Manchester United are also still continuing to weigh up a move for Milinkovic-Savic. Preliminary talks have been held with agents, although United have not yet decided whether to make a bid or not. I was quite surprised. I actually sent it to you yesterday, didn't I? When Samuel Luckhurst said that United were considering making that bid, because I went, oh, wow. Then that isn't, would appear just pure paper talk. That does seem like there is certainly something there. You could argue, and maybe this is why you have to be somewhat hesitant, he's got 2 years left on his contract. Obviously, Lazio want to offer him a new deal. When anyone's up for a new deal, and then we hear Man United are involved, you always...
Golden settings.
Yeah, you always raise your eyebrow. Sergio Ramos, you know, and you always raise your eyebrow because you go, well, I see where this one ends up.
Yeah.
New 5-year deal at Lazio. But when we've spoken about it the last few days, a lot of people, I've seen them in the chat saying, I mean, yeah, we linked him into the past, but why are we turning our nose up at him? You know, 27, he's in his peak. 57.5 million pounds for him isn't bad, considering at one point it was going to be like 80 or 100. It was being quoted before in 2018.
Here's my thing.
You know what? I am warming to this one.
Okay, I'm not dead against it. I'm not saying this is an absolute disgrace and you know you're a cheat.
Yeah,
I'm not saying that. But here's my thoughts on it. Yeah, I'm beginning to worry a little bit, guys, that maybe by getting him and Rabiot, we still aren't getting the midfielder that we actually need. So in terms of getting that deeper line playmaker, that's 6. Milinkovic-Savic is not that. Adrian Rabiot, for me, is not that. So it'll be just bringing more attacking midfielders to the club, because you bring in Eriksen, he's that, plays as an 8. Progressive on the ball, forward thinking on the ball, you know, operates in the final third. You bring in Rabiot, okay, bit of a ball carrier. I wouldn't see him as the deepest line playmaker initiating attacks, that Frankie de Jong situation, what we're looking at. And you bring in Milinkovic-Savic, and you got Bruno. Now, yes, we do need depth, I get that, but we don't need to overload ourselves with 4 similar types of players and still, worse still, not address the actual midfield situation which we need. If we've got in Frankie de Jong, or a player who we're looking like the Neves, he could try and play that role or whatever. If we address that as an extra midfielder, fine. But my worry is that now we're trying to chase midfielders that aren't the type of midfielder that we need 3 times over. Yeah. Like one of those, fine. But who's the... If you don't get de Jong, you can't tell me you've got Rabiot and Thing instead, unless you're going to play a different way, because that's not what we wanted. Yeah,
I mean, it goes back to the point before, doesn't it, where you say, or Ten Hag said, you know, it's not about signing players, it's about signing the right players, but out of them, which is the right player?
Which one?
It sounds like it's quantity over quality. It sounds like you're...
Just pack it out, because it's different.
Yeah. I mean, maybe he thinks... You know, I mean, Rabiot and de Jong are different kinds of players, but maybe in his mind's eye, he thinks, well, Rabiot could play a little bit deeper, maybe. Yeah. Maybe in his mind's eye, he thinks... Because to be fair, Eriksen, once he was pulled back from being a false 9 against Brighton, he was kind of doing this anyway, whereby he was picking the ball up from deep and spraying it around. Yeah. Maybe Ten Hag looks at that and just goes, you know what? Let's just put him there. let's just put him there.
I did say...
And then we can have Rabiot, Milinkovic-Savic in there. I'm not against that.
Yeah, I did say maybe we can struggle.
Yeah.
We can struggle with... Like, Eriksen could... not do the de Jong role, obviously, anywhere near as well as he can do it, but because he's good in the ball, it can be a makeshift until January or something. But it goes again. It all falls back to again, and now we have to be makeshift. We have to have, you know, we just got to accept that maybe Rabiot could do it. Yeah. Oh, maybe we'll get, because they're definitely better than McTominay and Fred. Okay, which they are, and statistically, by the way, Rabiot is not.
No.
Statistically, but stats aren't everything. So I don't. No. I'm not even in that camp of, you know. If he comes, it's just shocking. He's not even got better stats than McTominay. You have to, again, I'll wait to be proven and see what he can do for us. And it's different. So the midfield could just work in a completely different way. Milinkovic-Savic and Rabiot, you know, 6 foot plus, big guys, can get about the park as well. But they do have technique, definitely, especially Milinkovic-Savic. He is good on the ball, can carry the ball well. And so can Rabiot. They've got ability. They've got better ability on the ball than McTominay and Fred.
Yeah, and if you do have those options, I suppose... It's in the word, isn't it? It gives Ten Hag options to be like, well, maybe if I can't play the exact way I want to play, but I've got some decent alternatives that I can maybe shift some things around here. I'm not stuck with, well, Fred and McTominay forced into those roles. Maybe in his mind's eye, again, I can't get de Jong, but if we're going to get people that are kind of having to adapt their game to play in my system, I'd rather these people that I think are more capable of adapting than clearly the people I've got right now.
Yeah, and if you said
because McTominay can't adapt.
He can't adapt, and neither can Fred.
He can't.
If you said you brought in those two, just as an example, and say our pool of midfielders was Milinkovic-Savic, Rabiot, Eriksen, Bruno.
Yeah.
And then obviously, McTominay and Fred would just lingering. They might be on the bench a lot. Well, they would be. You like to think. You then say, would the midfield play in a different way? Would it be a flat three, maybe? With Eriksen to the left or something, and Rabiot and Milinkovic-Savic to the right, and Rabiot in the middle. Would it be Bruno to the left and Eriksen in the middle and Rabiot there? I don't know.
And that's not to say they have to
mix it up.
That's not to say they have to start every game as well. I know Ten Hag made the subs really late against Brighton, but you need options and you need a bench whereby you can move things around, you can change things. You do need a squad of people that we're in the Europa League. We've got to deal with it. Thursday, Sundays are going to happen. So it's even more alarming considering the amount of games that we have that in terms of that sort of those two deeper roles, it's Fred and McTominay kind of bust at the moment. I know we've got Garner, who I think even Ten Hag's still somewhat on the fence about because I think he would have played him more. I know he was injured in pre-season, but clearly he's not up in terms of the priorities.
Saw a report saying Forrest are back on his trail as well.
Possibly. And
he said he wants to play. He said he needs to go and play now, and he's not going to play.
Who's to say if we sign Rabiot and we sign Milinkovic-Savic, whatever, then Garner, you would say he'll go out on loan.
Well, the likes of young Zidane Iqbal and Charlie Iqbal. Yeah. Charlie, Savage and Jimmy Garner.
Yeah.
Especially Jimmy Garner, who has over 100 championship appearances. Needs to go and play football.
Yeah, and they're not certainly would appear not close to starting for Manchester United, irrespective of our opinions of whether they should or not. The reality is that they're clearly not close to being starting games. Again, maybe that changes somewhat when the Europa League comes around, perhaps. But you would say if we do sign Milinkovic-Savic, Rabiot, who knows who else we're going for, they get further and further down that pecking order because, you would think that Rabiot, Milinkovic-Savic come in and they're already a bit above Fred and McTominay. And plus throw in there like a Donny, who even he, in his Ten Hag's boy, isn't starting every game. So those players, like you mentioned, like Garner, like Charlie Savage, like Iqbal, we saw there is something there clearly on the pre-season tour, but it would feel somewhat of a waste if they're just sitting on the bench or not even in the match or playing under 21s football or under 23s football season.
Yeah. Let's get some of the super chats out. Suma says, they don't go to the World Cup. It will be a blessing in disguise. I think having players not going would be an advantage at this year. Ginger Fury says, would you take Watkins, 33 million apparently maybe? Ollie Watkins. I like Ollie Watkins. I do. Man United trying to kick on. I mean, is it snobbery to say I don't think he's the level at Man United, but the current level of Man United, he can play for us. But traditionally, he's not a player that you and I mean this with respect because I do like him. It's not the upper echelon of striker. It's not someone you can rely on to get 20 goals and stuff like that. I don't see him as clinical scoring game in game out at Villa. But his movement's very good. He's very active. But right now in this system, right now in this team, he could play for us.
You never know because you never know how they're going to adapt with the step up. You look at people like Liverpool that have signed people within the Premier League, and you go, not that bad, right?
Exactly.
But now, Watkins, you would go. I mean, we're desperate for quality at the moment, but not desperate of let's see if they can take a step up, but. We also then have to remember where we are, that we're going to maybe have to be reliant on taking risks on certain players because...
It's a mad one. Because it's like Ings and Watkins are in like the same thing where it's like Ings,
I don't want
sharpshooter, he can finish, but it's like, can't rely, he's had a lot of injuries. And it's just not it's just when's the cut-off point of when you're going, come on, man, we need to start, really kicking on.
Yeah, I agree.
Maroon 5 says, get Abraham, Savic and Rabiot as well. Tammy Abraham, an option. He's only been at Roma for 1 year.
I don't think he's going anywhere. Roma, they've got a big season ahead, haven't they?
Yeah, massive season.
They've signed some players. Dybala, Wijnaldum. Obviously, they've got Abraham in there. Jose's going to go for it this season.
He's going to go for it. What have we got next?
Let's talk a little bit about Adrien Rabiot as it gets closer and closer to becoming a Manchester United player. Now, Fabrizio Romano has said that Manchester United want Adrien Rabiot and they have an agreement in place with Juventus for around 17 million euros plus add-ons. Now negotiations are ongoing with Rabiot's side on the personal terms. United are working hard on the player, and he is the priority signing for the midfield. Ooh, that's a statement. Priority signing for the midfield. It's being reported by The Telegraph as well, by Sam Wallace and Jason Burt once again, that Manchester United have agreed a deal with Juventus for the player. Football director John Murtough is now travelling to meet his mother, Veronique, to agree the personal terms. So it's just a case of personal terms now. Wouldn't be shocked, to be honest, Flex, if we're talking the next couple of days, really, in this one getting done. Priority for the midfield, though.
He is a priority for the midfield because he's the number one target right now.
What? And he's the closest deal to getting done.
Exactly. That's what I mean.
Out of anyone.
He's the number one target right now because of what you just said. We can get him. He's attainable. Juve have agreed a fee, and we just need to sort out the personal terms. So
when do you think the deal has to get done by if he was to have some involvement against Brentford?
Oh no, that's not going to happen. Now,
Today.
As we're talking.
He'd have to be in training tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not. He's not. No chance. I don't even think he'd have signed by then. Oh, maybe, but definitely ain't going to be in.
So you said
he's definitely going to be in West London.
He could possibly make his Manchester United debut against Liverpool at Old Trafford.
I forgot who was playing there.
Would you want it? Would you want him for that game though? Right now, are you saying I want Rabiot in for the Liverpool game?
Oh,
dependent, seeing how we played at the weekend and knowing that we could have a situation where at Old Trafford we're playing Liverpool. With McTominay and Fred as a 6, McTominay as an 8.
Why are you painting it in the way where the only answer from me can be yes?
Because it is the only answer.
Like, you've listed
what
every
reality do you want?
I want the real reality. That's the real reality. Yes, Owen. I would like to see him against Liverpool instead of McTominay and Fred.
It would. I would still.
Because it's something different.
I would still be, and I still am horrified going into that game.
He still gets pumped
against
minimum
Liverpool.
4.
And I'm not saying Rabiot. We're going to win 7-0 at Old Trafford. No, I would just say I would be like, well,
I wouldn't even say Rabiot. We're now not going to lose.
Yeah, exactly. No, but it would just be like, well, there's something, you know. That game. I know that's a couple of games away, but that game. I mean, remember when it was announced and we were saying like. Yeah, but if we can get 6 points in an opening 2 games, and then even if we lose against Liverpool, it's not bad. Yeah. Remember when we beat Liverpool in pre-season, we're going, I tell you what, it's made that third game interesting. Has it balls made that third game interesting?
No, but we also said, to be fair to us, we also said at the same time, or it could go the other way, if you have a really tough start to the season,
yeah,
you get the third game of Liverpool, they smash you, and it just all piles on.
I know what game I'd rather win. You know, the pre-season game. I mean, I think the Bangkok National Trophy?
100%.
They're looking at that in wherever it is in the trophy room. I don't think Liverpool particularly care about that one.
Man United didn't even take that trophy with them unless they're going to send it, because me and Josh was standing right next to it after the team already left.
It was so big that it could probably fly in by itself.
Yeah, it's got lights and a fan inside.
Exactly.
So that will get you FedExed over or something. But anyway, the personal terms thing. Obviously, he's got to sort out the stuff with his mum, with his agent, and get to an agreement. I did just see a big outlet out there in Italy, La Gazzetta della Sport.
Good accent.
That's not bad, is it?
Yeah.
The official paper, the most popular sports newspaper in Italy.
Yeah.
1.9 million followers, so that's their biggest outlet. They are claiming that Rabiot is asking Man United for a 3-year contract worth over 10 million euros per year. What's that about 8 million quid?
I don't know what that is per week.
I don't know what that is per week, but 8 million a year's.
Yeah. And also the 3-year deal. I mean, he is 27. I mean, he's well within his rights, I guess, to ask for that. And also, as well, you have to remember, like, any player that is negotiating with Man United is in a position of power right now. They know that United are desperate. Any club, any player, they know, especially because United had a bad start to the season, win the Europa League. So to convince any player of quality, what do you have to do? Throw money.
And that's why I'm pissed off.
You go to the Eredivisie.
That's why I'm so pissed off about the situation we now find ourselves in, because on one hand, when we throw money at the problem, we usually throw it at the problem wrong and put players on too high a wage, too early on long deals, and then it doesn't work. And then 18 months later, 2 years later, we're like, wouldn't mind putting him on a selling him, but then we have to loan them. But on the other hand, I'm like, I don't care about money now, because you need to splat. You haven't spent anything. Your net spend's like 55, 56. So
that's with
go out.
Any player sales, by the way.
Do you see what I'm saying? So go out there and flipping burn through some cash.
Yeah.
And get us some players, because if Rabiot wants an extra 15, 20 grand a week on top of what you want to do, it's your fault now. Give it to him, because now we need players. But then in the same time, that will end up in 2 years, if it doesn't work, saying, oh, Rabiot's on 220 grand a week or 180 grand, whatever it is.
Yeah, we
but,
gave
Eric,
we
it's
gave
not
Eric,
our money. It's about time they start spending some money.
We gave Ericsson a 3-year deal, and how old's he? 30, 31? Yeah. So Rabiot's 27. He'd be like, well, of course I want a 3-year deal.
100%.
You know,
of course he's gonna, minimum and probably with an option.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, at least Rabiot's got to be on at least 180.
I don't know, but again,
no, I mean like if he come to us,
that's what I mean. I mean,
surely it's got to be about 150.
Yeah, I would think that you would think minimum. Because from his point of view, he'll say, and rightfully so, he'll say, look, I'm a French international. I play for PSG. I play for Juventus. You need a player right now. You're desperate. You're not in the Champions League.
I spoke to the manager. He's told me that squad role's crucial.
Exactly.
Not sporadic.
Yeah, exactly.
Not one for the future.
And his agent, his mother, will be like, look, well, it's obvious the position you're in. Yeah. I've got all the leverage here. And there are, I'm sure, still other clubs interested in him that might be more favourable in terms of their European football position. So I think a 3-year deal is probably about right, to be honest, when it comes to Rabiot.
Yeah, I think so, and I think you're right. I think it will happen. It's clearly not done deal yet. They're doing personal terms. You know, the deal could still collapse. I've seen strange. I saw Here We Go from Romano from Malacia. And then it wasn't Here We Go anymore.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember the one he'd said about was it Wijnaldum going to Barcelona and then he went to PSG? Was that last year? I think it was, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like, he's going to Barcelona. And it was like, no, he's going to PSG.
Yeah, just changes. Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to wait and see. Definitely not a done deal yet, as we can see, because there's been no confirmation. There hasn't even been a Here We Go or all agreed. But it looks like it's on its way to being completed. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, peeps.
We've got over 2,200 people watching, less than 500 likes. The standard is 750 now.
We've got nowhere near the 750 since we've done that. Well, we have actually in some shows, but it's like I think people just forget.
You get too engrossed. We do as well.
Yeah.
The viewer does.
Yeah. 100%.
But we can do it. You can do it.
You can do it in Josh's way. So big up to all the support. You know, a few people reached out to me actually recently. Just want to say quickly, saying they're having a tough time, and you know, they always watch us every morning. They always watch like every stream we do. You guys know the people that you are. We're with you. We got you. Thank you for watching every day. When you see things like that, people who literally are going through actual trial, like some of the messages I've received, I'm like, wow, I can't believe like you're actually going through that in your life.
Yeah.
But you take comfort in coming here. And listening to us and watching us and talking to the people in the comments and stuff like that. So big up to you guys.
Yeah, thank you for welcoming us into your homes via your phone, your tablets, on your TVs. We get that all the time as well. So thank you.
It's crazy. It's crazy to know that we can have that effect. You know what I mean? Which is good. What we got next?
Arnautovic, the favourite topic.
Yeah, good.
Arnautovic.
It's over.
Yes. So Fabrizio Romano has provided some extra details on the collapse of Manchester United's pursuit of Marco Arnautovic. He said, quote, behind the scenes, Bologna expected Manchester United to submit a new bid for Marco Arnautovic later this week, around 13 to 14 million euros. But after fan complaints, the Manchester United board told Bologna on Tuesday morning the deal is off. No chance to discuss again. It's 100% over. Happy?
Yes.
Sanity reared its head eventually. Now, it must be said as well that this is how crazy it is. Bologna were playing hardball over the price, and by all accounts, Man United sort of went, well, actually, we were only really wanting to spend 9 million euros. But make no mistake, the real thing that cancelled this deal, collapsed this deal, was the backlash to it, was the outcry of, we don't want this player. I believe the club and Richard Arnold was inundated with emails. Obviously, there was lots of stuff on social media about the player, and just the general consensus of what on earth are you doing going for Marco Arnautovic in 2022 irrespective of the price, right? It's just not the move to be doing. Sanity finally rears its head, but still, you can't forget that happened. We all want to move on quickly, and we all want to put that one in the past, in the rearview mirror, but that was a thing for a couple of days after the Brighton result, before the Brighton match, it came out, and afterwards, to compound a really bad loss, it was, but don't worry, things are going to be okay, we're getting Arnautovic. You can't forget that, and you talk about other people laughing at us. They were for the result and for that, because it was like, what on earth is going on? And you can't forget it. I'm glad that we got to the situation we are. I'm glad we're not living in the reality where he's holding up the shirt and he's on the bench and he's coming on and we're having to go, oh, I hope something can happen. But you can't forget that was a thing.
No, you can't. I said at the time, it was absolutely mind-blowing that Manchester United Football Club, with his past record of the disciplinary stuff of what, you know, the type of players we don't want at the club, through to just his sheer where he is in his career right now. You know, all respect to the guy, but to even think, and that was the one that most made me feel angry and upset at trying to like fall back and say wait and see what happens.
Yeah,
that's the one that made us look the most stupid, really, because it's like, You wanted to fall back and allow them to work and say, look, okay, John Murtough's in a new position, Richard Arnold's in a new position, whatever. You know, you deal with the pub incident. You know, you got the Ronaldo stuff going on, you got the De Jong stuff going on, and you're like, okay, let's just try and be patient, you know. And then the club just go and do that. It's like anybody who tries to remain a little bit positive in that, the club always finds a way to go, nah, at you. And that I think that was a big two fingers up to the fans. And to the point where, okay, cool, you can say it isn't now because they reversed the decision, but I actually don't know what's worse.
Not because they thought it was a bad idea.
I don't know what's worse. Going for him in the first place, or just giving in because of the fan backlash, because that means that you don't really believe enough in the player to actually not listen to the fans. Like, if you really believe a player is good, I know there's backlash, and I'm happy you listen to us. But if you really believe it's the answer, you go, look, I know there's really bad stigmas around X and Y, but we believe this is the right thing, and like he's going to come here, he's going to be amazing. If you really believed that, you might still even do it. But the fact that you even thought it was okay to go for him in the first place as well, it was actually disgusting.
And it makes you think. Disgusting. It makes you think. One, who else are they considering that we haven't heard about?
Makes you more worried.
Yeah, it makes you worried. And it's the Wizard of Oz principle. Like you said, we've been hearing all summer that there are alternatives in place, plans in place, and then you peek behind the curtain and you go, oh, Arnautovic, and then you start going, oh, maybe there is nothing going on. Maybe there is just complete, nothingness or scouting department. Who in the scouting department? Who in the scouting department, recommended that? I know, even if it was Ten Hag or Steve McLaren. If Steve McLaren said we should go for Arnautovic, and people said yes, no one had. Like,
who sat round the table and okayed that? That is alarming.
And if you're sitting around the table, and everyone, to say there's 10 people in a room, 2 people, Ten Hag and McLaren, said we should get Arnautovic. The rest of the 8 knew that it wasn't a good idea, but they didn't say anything. Like, what is going? It is one of those ones where it was like, what is going on? Yeah. Who else is being spoken about?
I would love to know in the boardroom, at the meeting or whatever, or via emails or whatever. I want to know who in the whole department, it could have been Ten Hag who just came out of it from nowhere, but who was the one who either said, if Ten Hag said it, who was the one who went, okay, that's fine, we'll go and chase him, I'll go and pick up the phone now. I was like, okay, who said that? Or if it was the other way around and said, Eric, what about Marko Arnautovic? You did have him at, was it McLaren? Or I don't want to accuse people, I don't know where it came from, but one of them did it. I would love to know who was in charge of doing that, because me personally, maybe I need to be careful here, because I'm saying they shouldn't be here anymore. If it was Eric Ten Hag, then I'm not saying he should be sacked. But do you know what I mean? Like,
but who didn't know? But how did they not know about the baggage? How did they not know about all that kind of stuff? If you were a scouting department, you'd be more than aware of that. We're talking an in-depth database of players, in-depth scout reports on every player's, on their left-footed, right-footed, or if they're how many goals they scored, their passing stats, their distance covered, and you didn't know about like all of that, incidents that happened at the Euros. How could you not be aware of all of that kind of stuff? And you're taken aback by the backlash that it generated. It's just, I remember watching. Have you seen Sunderland Till I Die on Netflix?
I watched like a little bit of it. I never ever finished watching it.
One of the opening episodes, they're doing this like scouting recruitment meeting about players they should sign. They've been relegated to the Championship at the time. And this is like 2016 or whatever. And Zlatan Ibrahimovic is one of the names that's on there, where he was at United. And they go, why on earth is Zlatan Ibrahimovic on this list? With the Championship, we're Sunderland. And it kind of felt like it was like Marko Arnautovic. Of like,
he was on the list, was he?
Zlatan.
Was he?
Yeah.
Did they say, oh, sorry, Johnny,
I don't know.
We could, might be able to, I know a couple of people over there, so I thought
This was typed in strikers. And that kind of feels like that. Like, just did no one just go, what? Seriously?
Honestly, it's just a mess. And just really, really quickly, there's just been a little bit, about ownership. Well, there's been a lot about the ownership, but I mean, in terms of a potential new bid coming in to go against the ownership. What are your thoughts on that and where we're at currently?
Of course, I would, like everyone, welcome a bid. I would welcome a change in ownership. Everyone, that's ultimately what we want. I apologize in advance for being skeptical. I will believe it when I see it. I saw the same thing that everyone else saw about the interview saying a bid is being prepared. It's a hostile bid. I think we have to also be cognizant of the Glazers don't want to sell. They don't. They really don't. It's a cash cow for them. Unless a bid came in that we're talking real astronomical figures, because let's face it as well, the bar's been set. With that Chelsea bid, with that Chelsea takeover, I think it was quite eye-opening in the sense of, in the past it was, who's going to come in with that amount of money? There are people out there. There are consortiums out there with the money that it would take to buy Manchester United.
Yeah.
But you also have to have a willing party to want to sell.
It's only where a transaction happens, isn't it?
And to get those consortiums in place and all that comes, even preparing a bid takes money. And a lot of these businessmen or consortiums that have that amount of money will only prepare a bid or only make the funds available if they think there's a deal to be done. And I saw the interview said it was going to be a hostile bid or something like that.
Yeah.
We'll wait and see. You never know. This is the same guy. What's his name? Is it Michael Knighton? Is that his name?
Michael Knighton.
Put in a bid to buy Manchester United in, was it 1989, 1990, 91? At the time, £20 million. How wild is that? How football, the money in football has changed.
Yeah, he came close to buying us in 1989.
Yeah, and he was he owned, I think, Carlisle for a while. He was the chairman of Carlisle. He's a former football player in himself. I believe there was when he was, because he became a director of Manchester United, I believe.
Yeah,
and when
up until 92.
When the thing went away. So, look, I think also as well, I saw in the interview he says that he wants Jim Ratcliffe to get involved. He was the guy that put in the bid for Chelsea when it was too late, but the money's there and he's a United fan. Well, look, we'll have to wait and see. I believe it when I see it. But I would also say maybe don't get your hopes up too much.
Yeah, I echo that. I think needless to say, would love an ownership change.
Yeah.
But them Glazers, they just... For them, why would they sell? We're in our worst form. The dividend still comes out. Okay, cool. You can say that's a business owner's right and stuff like that. But if it was somebody who really cared about the football club and wanted it to be in its purest, best, most richest form, that they could get even more out of it because it's successful, then they would do it. But they care. They show that they care about the bare minimum. And sometimes people say it's, they're American owners. Sometimes they don't understand the game of football and stuff like that. Liverpool owners are American. Like, that club's run very well now. And also you look at the Cronkies at Arsenal, and I'm not saying that they're, void of it all now, but even Arsenal got to a point and said we have to stop doing things this way. And we got to go in this direction, back the manager, back the recruitment team, get them all together, unanimous singing off one hymn sheet. And now Arsenal have a team that even their fans are like, you know what, we can see. They're I'm not saying they still want the Cronkies there and it's perfect and it's fine, but they can see something. With us, the Arnautovic thing just throws it straight. That if there was ever a thing to say like, you're not moving in the right direction at all. All you've done is given the jobs of the people who were already kind of in the club already, moved them up the order a little bit, and the best thing they do is panic and get Arnautovic. That sums it up. So back to it. I can't see it happening. I listened to the interview.
Yeah, me too.
I think he says a lot of stuff that 100% is correct.
Yeah,
mismanagement, we're tired of it. The football club deserves better, etc. All the buzzwords, 1,000,000%. The fans have the right to protest and it's good that they're peaceful protests, they're not violent protests, and 100%, I agree with all of that. And it was a good interview, but it's like, that's fine. But one, let's see if the bid arrives, and two, it can be as hostile as it wants, but if the Glazers are not willing to sell the football club, I just don't see how they do.
And again, it's a case of one of the only positives you can take out of it, like again with the Chelsea situation, is that there is evidence that if the club was for sale, there would be possibly people to buy it. But as of right now, what's his name? Jim Radcliffe said it himself when he put the offer in for Chelsea. He said, but unfortunately, they're not for sale.
Yeah. Exactly. Simple as that. Last couple of super chats here before we wrap up. Andreas says, Ranić's sack was the warning. This is the end. And Nam Chops says, I see the Aussie rules footy behind you, Flex. Yes. This is my Aussie rules football. It's our Aussie rules football. They gave it to us when we went to the Marvel Stadium.
That was great.
An AFL game. Yeah. I actually found myself watching some AFL last night as well, actually, just because now I know what's going on. If I flick past it and it's on, just watched it for 10 minutes. I was like, I know what's happening there. And Nam was who gave us the ball as well. So big up Nam, and noticing that this is the ball. He actually gave us this. So yeah, big up to him. Really appreciate it. Told you we would get it back safely and put it in UVHQ. So this is thanks to you, bro. Appreciate that. Seamus says, Rabiot, bad attitude, inconsistent, troublemaker agent. See Euros incident. I do remember that. Stats worse than McTominay. Check Opa. And Poundland Pogba without the talent. So Seamus, I think it's fair to say,
not a fan.
Want Rabiot to come. And Barnaby says they can start by moving away from Fergie the same way Arsenal moved away from Wenger. So yes, there you go. Smash a like on the video, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Thank you very much for watching this morning. A ton of stuff to get through. And we will see you all very, very soon. Good show this morning. A lot to talk about. Let's hope that we get some more players soon. We're out of here. Peace.